The basic conducting setup. We can start with the position of our feet. I would suggest shoulder length apart, or approximately shoulder length apart. This gives us a good grounded foundation, but doesn't make us feel that we're too restricted. For just about anything that we're going to talk about, there are always variations on it. What we're going for now is what I would call a baseline, something that we can use repeatedly that doesn't seem quirky or affected in any way. So once we try to do something expressive, it has meaning. It pops out of our comfortable baseline. So if shoulder length apart is our baseline, if, for example, we wanted something a little bit more aggressive or athletic, we might widen that a bit, which gives us a sense of flexibility and maybe power because we have a wider center of gravity. We can go the opposite way and put our feet absolutely together, which gives us a very grounded, centered, focused kind of look. They're both valid. I wouldn't recommend either of these as your baseline. So shoulder length apart. Now in terms of the rest of the body, we want good posture. We want to make sure that our shoulders are down and relaxed without being forward or back too far. We want to stand up straight. We don't want to hunch at all. It's very common to hunch when we're trying to get the group to play softly. We want our head to be up, and we want to be comfortable and relaxed. There are variations on this too. We might sometimes hunch down. That is expressive. But if we do this all the time and every time there's piano, it's not going to look good. This is a more common problem than leaning back. Most people don't have this problem. They tend to do this between trying to communicate with the front rows or trying to show piano or just out of a habit or bad posture or turning pages and looking at the score. This is generally what happens. So I would recommend if you notice yourself doing this, first be aware of it and try to get yourself with good posture, but you can also try conducting against a wall. Literally stand against the wall and make sure that your back is touching it and even that your head is touching it. That might exaggerate it a little bit, but it'll get you in a good to feel like what it needs to be like. And then you can conduct along and just practice conducting literally cemented to that wall. And then as you move yourself away from the wall, you want to maintain that feeling. In terms of arm position, there's a couple of ways to achieve what I think is a good position for this. The first is to take your hands and just swing them as freely as possible back and forth. And then on the way back down, there's usually a place that we land on, or that we feel like we can land on, that's just a natural landing spot. And if we get there, that's usually the position that's comfortable, looks, and also has some strength to it. And we can either, for these initial stages, have your right hand down and your left hand up, or if you want to go both hands palm down, that also works. So right here, it's pretty comfortable. The other way to achieve this is to shake someone's hand. And if I'm going to shake someone's hand over here, I'm not going to be back here. I'm not going to be out here. There's a sense of strength that I get from over here. And if we just think of shaking someone's hand in both hands, we get to that same position. This is comfortable, but it also has a certain amount of strength to it. You can think of lifting something heavy. If I'm lifting something heavy out in front of me here, I'm not going to go out like this. I might go very close like this, but more likely I'm going to be out a little bit more, and that's where our position is. Be aware of where your arm and elbow is. Usually what works is we want to have enough space here where if we took a newspaper and we rolled it up, we'd be able to fit it inside there and it would stay there without being too tight. We want to avoid this where we're locked in like that, and we want to avoid out as if we're like that, usually somewhere in here. And we usually get there from shaking hands or by swinging our arms and finding that comfortable position. Again, all of these issues we might and very likely will change as we conduct in order to achieve expressive details, but it's important to start with a good basic setup.